That was the fastest ever.
That was
that
the
we
fastest.
started. The fastest ever in history.
We went, are you ready? Yes. Okay. And then that's all
never
we
happened.
did.
Nobody's ever, we're not all ready. Usually.
Zoom has truly been sometimes like a 90-minute affair.
Before we even begin
the
recording.
90-minute affair.
The 4 hour. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what to do with all this productivity.
You look good today. You look like you're glowing. Like you're just
really
vibrant. Is it sweat?
It could be. It's certainly not anything
Usually
else.
with me it's sweat. So I'm just asking.
I don't know. I think it might just be because I chose like a color behind me, but I feel like on my screen I look really washed out. No?
Well, the tone changes when the lights change, but like you just as a like your aura is like glowing.
Oh, what if I told you that these lights aren't actually on? This is just my aura. I'm just glow. It's all over. And it's just so visible.
Color, Technicolor dream coat aura.
That's me. I'm Jesus.
Aww.
Are you?
Isn't that Joseph who has that? I
Yep.
don't know. Listen,
No, you're right.
I don't know much about. You're more in the theater space than I am, but
you're more the Christian. So
I wouldn't even go that far. I feel like you're the one who prays when a ghost shows up. I don't know. I left that behind a long time ago. You know the Our Father probably better than I do.
I know way too much about the Duggars, so maybe I am a little more in the Christian world than you are.
Tater tot casserole, so I think you automatically win.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll take it as a compliment because if I take it as anything else, I'll cry.
Fair.
I got to hear about your shows, Christine.
They were really fun.
What?
It's been like small crowds, but like people were just so much fun. It was like comedy clubs, and we went back to Wise Guys in Salt Lake City where we had shows. Which was really fun. And so, I read some Mormon reviews. It was a good time. Thank you for asking.
What was the highlight of it all? Like, what was?
Well, you just said the highlight, and I have to tell you, since you made that beautiful double entendre.
Was it about a highlighter?
It's about how I'd said, Alexander, I have a genius TikTok idea. We should get high and then tell each other or write down children's book story ideas, which was something our friend Alexis made up a long time ago. And so we did that in silence for like 10 minutes. And then on a video, we read them aloud to each other, but we weren't supposed to laugh.
Mm-hmm.
And our video has almost 400,000 views already.
Oh, look at that.
Like what? I don't know. I just like put it up there. Our videos on Beach Too Sandy's page usually get like, I don't know, 800 maybe views. This one has fucking 360,000 or something.
TikTok's weird.
It was only 1 out of 6, so I'm like really proud of my high genius, that was a highlight, literally.
Yeah.
But so I just posted part 2 and then put my phone on Do Not Disturb, so we'll see after the episode what happens with part 2. But my favorite book was called Mac Mackerel P.I. So I'm hoping that can be published stat.
Right away. Yeah.
Right away.
Understood.
How are you, Amity?
Nah, this and that.
I know. I sent you something, but it won't come till later on. But I gave them Allison's phone number because I know you have more of your procedure today and stuff.
Yeah, today's the day I actually get them ripped out, these veins. I know.
I'm sorry, I hate veins.
Oh, really? Me too.
Oh, God. Yeah, I know, but I've been trying to be so strong for you, and I can't do it.
No, I can't either. I really, honestly, it makes me not want to be. I can't breathe.
God, I can't breathe, and I'm not even going through it.
It was one of those things where, like, it was the second it was done, I couldn't remember the pain. And so now I can't remember how it's going to go, but I know it's going to go so bad my brain will dissociate the pain later.
Hey, isn't that a plus?
I guess. So if it's at 2:00, by 3:00, I won't know how bad it was.
Yeah, you can practice astral projecting to my house.
I feel so bad for I feel so bad for the doctor because her and the two people that helped me last time, they're the same people this time.
Oh,
and
they're like, oh, this one.
I have a feeling they're going to be like...
No.
Anyway,
They just
I'm sure
probably
they're
feel
used to it, but
bad. Yeah, they're
Well,
probably used to it.
they said that last time they were like, oh, well, one person slept through it. And
I don't believe that.
Apparently it's true. I have heard it from...
Is it actually?
Apparently, and I've had to go in like feels like every day this week to get multiple ultrasounds to make sure that like everything's healing right.
Right.
And every time I go in, they're like, "How are you?" And I'm like, "Not good." Like it's like it's not good. They're like, "Oh, and you haven't even had the phlebectomy yet." And I'm like, "What?
Oh, why would you
like,
say it like that? Like you
yeah.
haven't even done this part."
That's why I've got a little tood with them because I'm like,
yeah.
yes, I haven't even gotten through the worst, and the last time was pretty bad.
I would have a tood as well, and I do also have a tood.
Can you call them and have a tood?
Do you think I can call anyone and have a tood? I can't even call like a person I'm actually having a battle with and say anything but, you're right, I'm sorry, I regret everything.
Oh, it's times like this where I'm glad we have like Lisa Lampanelli in the corner because I really just wish she could call them and yell at them because I'm in a lot of pain. But then
also, like Eva's girlfriend Rachel recently was like, oh, well, since Eva does all my my medical phone calls, and I was like, am I allowed to ask her to do that for me? Can I pay her extra on the side just to like make phone calls for me? In case you can't tell, my counseling and therapy and hypnotherapy have not quite been working as well as I'd hoped.
As soon as you find someone who knows how to like talk on a phone and like be strong, wow, it's you almost just want them. You want to carry them around everywhere. I
didn't even marry one, and I like that is my one regret about my relationship with Blaze is we're both afraid of the phone. I'm like, one of us needed to be strong in this area.
My mom used to be the strong one on the phone, and now I have to make all the phone calls myself, and I'm not going to give it to her because I think she'd actually say yes. But sometimes I'm like, man, I really wish my mom would just do this for me. All of a sudden, when it comes to medical stuff, I'll always be 10 and just not want to do any of this.
I revert to childhood for sure.
Anyway, I drink today because in a couple hours, the veins in my legs will not be there anymore.
I'm literally going to jump out of the window. I can't handle it.
I honestly, I don't even, it's usually, even when I got like my SVT stuff, that was less awful. Like
that was scary too. Like obviously because it was your heart.
Yeah, but that surgery, I was okay with knowing what they were doing to me. I don't even want to know about the vein thing, and I don't even want to know after it's happened. I don't want to look it up. I don't want to know.
Fuck no. I'm so glad you didn't Google it. I mean, I don't know either.
I would.
But I'm just
glad. If I Googled, I would have the bravery to call and cancel.
I think literally that would push me over the edge, and I would be like, actually, my leg is fine. Thank you for trying, everybody.
And every time I would go in for the ultrasounds, they have all these charts of like your veins and how important all of them are. And I'm like,
get
but
it out of my face.
And four of them,
don't take them out.
4 of them ultimately are being taken out. It's 2 on each leg. And honestly, Christine, this is like where the shame comes in. And I haven't even shared this with anyone yet. I called them.
It's just you and me, so.
Right, obviously. There's I was supposed to. So I got there's ablation and phlebectomy. Ablation does something that involves cauterizing.
I think it ablates, but I'm not sure.
It could be. The phlebectomy phlebs something. Definitely.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I definitely know that. Yeah.
I know the phlebectomy is when they take it out, but the ablation is they did something else to like cauterize bad veins.
It, right.
Because I only know that because the ablation that they did on my heart is they cauterize something. But my heart.
Something mysterious we'll never know.
But I was supposed to do ablation on my left leg, then ablation on my right leg, then phlebectomy on my left leg, phlebectomy on my... It was like a whole Macarena situation.
That's what they call it.
The Macarena veins, if you will. And I have called them and told them face to face too. I told them, I was like, can we just do the phlebectomy on my left leg, get my left leg done, and honestly not even touch my right leg, and I'll come back to it in like a year to see if I'm ready. And it was supposed to happen like today. My right leg was supposed to, but like it was so painful.
So you put the other one off. Oh, I'm so glad.
Are you? Because I'm freaking out that I did the wrong thing. Like maybe I should just rip it off like a Band-Aid and just get it done with.
Oh, I thought you meant rip it off like a Band-Aid, literally. And I was like, I'd rather
I mean, my veins are getting ripped out like a
I swear to God, Em, I was like, what, like a DIY procedure? A DIY phlebectomy? I don't think so. I don't give you the license to fleb anything off your body by yourself.
Well, so I feel like I'm doing myself a disservice. Like I should just get it over with. But okay, here's the thing. I know we've already discussed this for like 10 million hours. I'm so sorry, everybody. But you know, if your veins were getting ripped out today, you'd want to talk about it too. Okay. So I thought, and this is so stupid on my end, and this is why I need someone. If you're my mom, you're not listening to this, by the way. Just go 30 seconds over. I was afraid. I was so afraid, I think, that I wasn't like totally listening to what the doctor said. Or honestly, I'm kind of convinced the doctor didn't fucking say anything. That my insurance made it so, and I guess because my veins in particular are so fucking massive that the doctors agreed with the insurance that the ablation and phlebectomy had to be done in 2 procedures, but I guess usually it's 1 procedure. So like by now my leg should have been handled. But I guess because my veins, by the way, are double the size of most people's veins. Did you know that? I just found out.
What? Why?
Apparently veins are a 5. I don't know what unit that is, but they said veins are 5s and you have 10. I don't know what that means.
10 out of 10. Congratulations.
And so they said because mine are so wide and big that the procedure was going to require 2 procedures anyway. So anyway, I swear to God, I feel like no one ever said that to me. And so I thought after my ablation, after I talked to you, I thought my left leg was done. And then I went in for an ultrasound and they were like, okay, so we should schedule you for the second part.
Why would
and
they
I was
not
like,
tell you that?
And I was like, what second part? I was like, do you mean my second leg? And they went, no, we have to do it again. And so then in my brain, I got it in my head that instead of having to deal with that pain 1 more time, I had to deal with it 3 more times.
Oh, forget it.
And so then I just like canceled my right leg.
I don't blame you. I would have done the same thing. I'm not saying it's the right thing, but I would have absolutely done the same fucking thing. So
I feel like it was the wrong thing because now I'll have a year to think about it and like maybe I should just do it. But and like also like we're not touring right now.
Okay, but what if you do this
and I can't fly. I can't fly while I'm doing this. So like I can't do this while we're on tour.
On our private jet.
Well, I'm not allowed to fly for like 2 or 3 weeks.
Oh shit.
So like I would really have to wait until we're off tour again.
Well, okay. What about you do today's and then maybe this one will be less bad.
Maybe this one will feel like little butterfly kisses from the doctor. Yeah.
It could be.
Oh, by the way, so at the ultrasound I asked the doctor again, I was like, how is it that people sleep through this? Yeah. And she's like, well, those people have gone through multiple births. And I went, oh, okay. Well,
are you serious?
I was like, I'm glad this is a walk in the park for parents, but not me.
Listen, I wish I could trade you then because I did do that one time and it wasn't fun at all. So I do wish I could. So they don't give you pain medication?
They give you anesthetic, but the anesthetic is the thing that hurts somehow. I don't want to know.
Insane. I know Blaze probably already explained this to me when we were in a car and he listened to this and went, Christine, figure it out. But I don't get it. As of right now, when we're recording, I don't get it.
They even told me, they were like, it's not painful, which like, I guess the surgery is not painful, but like they said that 80% of the whole procedure is just getting you numb, but the numbing is what sucks.
Is it just they're giving you so many different shots of like,
I mean, on top of the pain of the anesthetic, like numbing you, they're also jabbing you a bunch of times with needles to get to
right.
Be
that
able
part
to...
can't be enjoyable. Because I mean, even when you get numbing like in your mouth, whatever, like that fucking hurts at first. Like when they put the needle in, like that hurts. Yeah. So maybe it's like that.
And each leg is like, at least so far it was at least like 10
mouth sizes.
Yeah, it was. Well, it was like 10 needles at least, and then they had to do it halfway through because I started feeling stuff, which like it doesn't make sense. I don't know. It's very.
Are we done with the show?
Yeah,
I like need to lay down. I'm not even participating in this, but I need you to understand that I'm like unwell about this.
Anyway, my main concern is like, and maybe it's because like at a hospital, maybe they would put you to sleep, but here they don't. But it sounds like across the board they don't put you to sleep for vein stuff.
I would put myself. I would be like, I'll just
Like, hit me with a hammer. Like,
literally
like,
anything. Or I'll do it
be here.
myself if you don't want to be liable, you know? But just put me out of my misery while...
Oh
my God, Em, I am like beside myself. I'm not handling your medical shit well right now, and I'm sorry about that.
Thank you. I would like to be pitied because this is a bad one.
Okay, well, if this is helping, I sure hope so, because yikes.
Okay, please talk about before we get into this. Please talk about something that's like going on in your life, because every time I feel like every episode is just me bitching about health stuff. So please, do something.
I mean, my stuff's never very exciting, but I do have an update that you'll probably be excited about, which is that in Vegas, you kind of had to leave a little bit early because you were going to the Philippines. No big deal. So I stayed an extra day with Zandy, and then Eva and Rachel were there for an extra day, and we stayed at the Mirage because that's where we were performing. And I found and I'd never like done a slot machine before, so I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. So my brother like taught me how to do the slots. I got so into it, like not too into it to a dangerous degree, but like definitely lost some money, but had a lot of fun. Okay,
that's all that matters.
That's all that matters, right? But I found my favorite game and I became obsessed with it. And then I got home, and for my birthday, Eva and Rachel had sent me a little package. Okay. So the game, the slot that I like is called Hot Stuff, and he's a cute little devil, and he like flies around, and I love him. And I saw him, and I was talking to my brother and I think Lisa, and I said, he looks so familiar, like I feel like he would be in like a Casper cartoon or something. And so then I Googled it, and he literally was in the Casper, like old-timey Casper cartoons. And I'm like, no wonder I love this evil little man so much. And so then Eva found like a comic, a Hot Stuff comic, and he's my little devil friend, and
that's precious.
Isn't he cute? And the song goes, hot stuff.
Does it go that way, or did you
I won like $190 on it one time.
Wow.
But like he's so cute, and I just love him. And
so was he like Casper's like evil best
he
friend?
was like, I think Eva described it as like the foil to Casper, you know. But like he also, so I read the Wikipedia page to everyone. I read it at them more like, and apparently he is disliked by his other demon like little compatriots because he likes to do good things to make them mad. And I was like, this is my favorite character. And before I even knew he was in a comic, I was like, I kind of want to get that little guy as a tattoo because he's just so cute and fun, and I just love him. And my brother was like, okay. But then I found out all this backstory. Anyway, so I've had this on my couch here for a while, but I wanted to show it to you because it's just, and then on the back it has like an E.T. advertisement for the E.T. movie, because this is from the 90s, I guess. Anyway, so I just was like so taken aback when this arrived at my doorstep. But I'm in love with this little guy. He's the little hot stuff devil.
That would be a cool little, I'm not saying it now, but one day that would be a cool.
Yes.
Yeah. You get it.
Come on. If
we got tattoos together as the ghost person, I could get Casper.
Literally exactly. I knew what you were going to say. Knew it.
Yeah. If. I'm not saying now, but
Wink.
Maybe one day.
Tuesday?
That one I that one
Eva
I
just texted, I'm dead. That's so cute. Do it. Eva,
also,
make us an appointment. Write that down somewhere, please.
We'll shop it. We'll discuss.
I love him.
That one I'm 1% closer at the idea of getting a tattoo.
1%. We're doing it, folks.
It's gonna take a while, but eventually. Man,
that was me trying to distract you from everything.
It worked. That was a really good one.
If you want to FaceTime me during your procedure, I can just read this to you aloud.
Oh, you wouldn't be able to hear yourself because I'll be screaming, unfortunately.
I'll mute you and I'll just talk. Okay, I'll just try to shout over the screaming as loudly as possible.
At the last one, the doctor kept trying to ask me like questions, and I was like, I know you don't even give a shit about the answer. You're just trying to make me talk. And so
nice try.
I was like, I'm no fool. I mean, I did walk in here, so maybe I am.
Yeah. I don't know about that.
Anyway, no, that's a great way to end the intro, and I hope people who like our banter got a kick out of the last 20 minutes. So.
Me too.
And for the people who follow the person on YouTube that tells you the mark on where we start our stories, it's right around here.
And action.
Today we are talking about the Alex Johnson Hotel.
What is that?
It is in an area we hardly ever find our way in, which is South Dakota.
Hardly ever. Okay.
Hardly ever.
Have
it's
you
true.
been there?
No. I mean, even in our own stories, we're hardly ever in South Dakota.
I thought you meant in real life. I was like, I've certainly never been there. Do you go every now and then? But I see what you're saying. Like,
I just pop over.
Well, I hope the South Dakotans are happy because this is very exciting for them.
I hope so, and hopefully I do it justice. Because I feel like we haven't talked about South Dakota in quite a while.
I don't know if I have ever, really, which is a good thing, right? Like the crime, hopefully, is just, a less populated state.
You hope. One would hope that there's going to be a state somewhere that just has no crime, and maybe South Dakota is that place.
Maybe that's the dream town. We're all going to move there.
Yeah, maybe.
And then maybe. And commit crimes. No, wait, that's not part of this.
Hey, God, backtracking.
It's not it.
Well, so this is in Rapid City, South Dakota, and this is apparently near the Black Hills, and I guess the Black Hills have their own ghost stories. I feel like all hills have something spooky
There's got to be a ghost in those hills, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. And I guess since it's next to the Black Hills, maybe it's got some sort of extra...
Related.
Maybe it's related. But I do know that in the Black Hills, some of the mountains are made of limestone.
Oh.
And limestone is said to cause more activity or to encourage paranormal activity. So that might be it, that the whole town's got some limestone mountains going on. And then at the very bottom of those hills is a hotel, the Alex Johnson Hotel, which some of their own stones that the hotel is made of are limestone.
Aha.
So the hotel is 143 rooms. It was created by, can you guess, Alex Johnson.
You don't say.
He was the vice president of Chicago and Northwestern Railroad.
Yeah, cool. Me too.
I feel like every hotelier was also a railroad tycoon.
Like a baron, or whatever the word is. A magnate.
Stop it. Okay. So today, the hotel, fun fact, is on the National Register of Historic Places. It's also part of the National Tour Association. It's part of the Association of Historic Hotels of the Rockies. And it has received the first Governor's Great Service Award and the Governor's Service Star.
Oh, my. What a special place.
I don't know what any of those things mean,
but
I like to think it makes it it's a sterling review.
I was going to say, I'm happy for them, though. So,
yeah,
if that counts for anything.
Speaking of small government, we're not, but I saw the word governor a few times,
and it's
so here we go.
Small populated state.
Speaking of that, I just found out that Allison and I are only an hour away from a town who I've mentioned a town like this before, but I just found another town where it is a small town and the townspeople have voted a dog to be their mayor. And I'm very excited.
And that is Burbank, California. No,
I wish. It's only, I guess, an hour from us or 2 hours from us, and they have the mayor, the dog, has an Instagram, and they posted that in September. They're throwing a party that is all about dogs, and it's going to be all of the mayor's friends are going to be there.
Stop.
I have to go, and they sell T-shirts that look very serious, and it's just with a mayoral dog on the shirt.
What
so
is
I have to get
the
a shirt
town called? Do you know?
It's called Idlewild, but it's not spelled like Idlewild. So I don't know. How
mysterious. Did the dog try to write it down? And they were like, oh, I guess we have to go with that spelling. It's just a big scratch on the ground.
Christine, I am going to tell you the shirt that I'm getting. So I'm going to be at that, by the way. If anyone wants to meet me, I'm going to be at the mayor's party.
I don't doubt it.
The shirt says, it's a picture of, his name is Max, Mayor Max, the third.
Oh, and so my mistake. Mayor Max II was my father.
The shirt has him on it. I think there's a bald eagle and an American flag behind him.
Of course, there must be.
And it says, "The paw is the law."
What the fuck? I'm so happy. I'm so happy.
So anyway, you can catch me and my paw is the law I don't know. That might be from Paw Patrol. They might have stolen that, but
Oh,
I don't know. Anyway, you
I
can
don't know.
catch me at
Leona's not old enough yet for that, so I'll let you know in a couple years when I find out.
if you want a chance to run into me. It'll be at the mayor's party in
This is
a little bit.
excellent
So
news. This is excellent news, Em. I'm so thrilled right now.
anyway,
No
back
idea.
to this. So it's a very well esteemed hotel. And Alex Johnson himself, he wanted to make this hotel as a showplace of the West.
Oh.
And allegedly he wanted the hotel to also be a tribute to the indigenous tribes in the area. I gotta be honest, I don't know what his true intentions were.
Also, the word tribute is very vague.
Apparently he decorated the hotel himself, and it still looks like that today. So there's a lot of indigenous art everywhere.
Oh, dear.
I know. And I very much hope that they very consensually made this, and then
As
he
part of it, like he bought it.
Yeah, I hope he commissioned it
Let's
from
hope.
them, and I hope, or maybe they gifted it to him and they said, please God, decorate a whole hotel with our stuff. We're begging.
We need it.
Unfortunately, I don't think that's what happened in the 1920s. So from a white man named Alex Johnson.
That would be shocking, though. What a fun plot twist.
But I will warn you, apparently the whole place is just riddled with indigenous art. And I'm sure it's beautiful, but I also don't know how it was created, and that makes me nervous.
Yeah,
so,
or if there's any sort of like what do you call it? Like God, Christine. What's like a word for like payment? Like Christine.
Commission? Extortion?
Commission? Extortion.
I'm giving you a range here.
I don't know. I hope there was some sort of like at least quid pro quo, an exchange,
Yeah.
Something.
I hope so. I hope he just happened to like truly understand the culture of all local indigenous tribes, and they welcomed him with open arms, and I hope that's the story. I don't think it is, though.
Okay.
I get nervous when a white person's like, I'm going to make a tribute to all the tribes nearby, and I'm going to use all of their stuff.
And then we don't get any more details. It's like, oh,
yep.
Okay.
Yep. So hopefully it was done with good intentions, and it was well handled. But anyway, on top of that, not only is the decor something to look out for, but apparently the basement of the hotel is designed very wildly.
Oh.
Not interior design wise, but architecturally. I guess when new management has come through and looked at the basement of the hotel, they're like, what the fuck is the shape of this place?
Oh, I don't like that. In a basement?
Yeah, so I guess old school downtown Rapid City, South Dakota had underground tunnels, and to my knowledge, the purpose is unknown for these underground tunnels.
Spooky.
Which there have been a lot of places with underground tunnels, and they have really learned a lot about the history. They do tours about it, but
Right.
A source that I saw said we have underground tunnels and don't know why they're here. So that's interesting. Today in the hotel basement, you can find, quote, eerily narrow hallways and oddly shaped rooms. There's rooms that have drains in the floor for no reason, and, quote, stairs with no apparent destination.
What? This is like some Winchester shit.
Yeah, so it sounds like maybe there was a whole other layout. I like to think that was why it looks so odd today, because it was just a different blueprint. But
I hope so, because that is like mysterious drains for no reason is not something I'd like to experience.
I like to think that maybe it was like, maybe down there was like a butcher shop, and that's where they just like they needed the drains in the floor.
But then there was the blood.
There's also a rumor that was an underground barber shop where like they Sweeney Todded people, and that's why there's drains in the floor. So they're on top of it on the spooky stuff, because that rumor was before I got here. So
you didn't just start that just now.
No. The general manager, his name was Dom Rodriguez, and he says, we opened up a lot of different spaces that weren't available before, and no one can really figure out what they are. Blueprints exist only for the upstairs portion of the hotel, with no mention of the underground.
Okay. I mean, that's weird, right? That you wouldn't mention it.
Yeah, I would think so.
Forget to mention it.
Or also, like, the hotel, like, just turned 100. I'm sure there's not that
Yeah,
many
true.
owners. Like, you could probably look through archives and
Trace your
figure
way
it out.
back.
Yeah. Anyway, so Alex Johnson, his main goal of the hotel was to be a rest stop for tourists coming through because it was nearby Mount Rushmore.
Okay, I see.
And I guess the railroad tycoons, the magnates, as you call them, they really do seem to always try to find a tourist trap and then just build a hotel next to it. That's really their
I guess that's
only skill.
why they're a magnate. Well, they also know about trains.
Oh, that is the truth.
They have multiple skills. Give them a fucking credit where credit's due.
I will say I don't know what life was like around this time. I don't know if this was like the big thing in the newspapers. But Mount Rushmore hadn't even been created yet. I think so. There were whispers of it. Maybe shouts.
Oh, so he was just like hoping, banking on this new tourist destination that didn't even exist yet.
He's a bit of a gambler like you with your hot stuff.
Yeah, I know all about that. I'm a magnate in my own way. I'm a hot stuff magnate, so I don't think anyone needs to worry about it.
As you get Casper's little red friend tattooed to you, you're like, I'm a magnate.
As I lose $400 on the slots, that's a slight exaggeration.
I was gonna say the number keeps climbing.
Yeah, well, just do a little range. We can keep the people guessing.
From here to there, that's how much I lost. So his goal was to be a rest stop for ultimately when Mount Rushmore was created. Okay. So I guess he knew it was coming soon. And Alex started construction on his hotel October 3rd, 1927, which, by the way, fun fact, was one day before Mount Rushmore began its construction.
He just wanted to beat him by a day. Got it.
By a day. He was like, how about I do my hotel and you carve into a mountain 4 different famous faces and we'll see who does it faster.
Yeah. And I'll put a creepy labyrinth in the basement. But don't worry about that. I won't write it down.
Toss the blueprints. So this hotel, it then opened less than a year later, which I don't know how in 2023 a hotel could go from nothing to a full fucking hotel in less than a year. In 1927, what skills how were you moving that fast?
Listen, you already dissed him and his abilities, so I don't think he's going to let you know.
Apparently, his other skill is that he can move at the speed of light.
Good for him.
So his hotel, it was a very swanky hotel, 11 stories, and it opened in 1928. Another fun fact, the first guest was Patty O'Neill, and the bar ended up being named after him because he was the first guest.
I thought it was a lady. I got excited.
I think it's Patty Patrick.
Got it. I liked it better as a lady's name for the bar, but it's okay.
Patricia, it could be. We don't know. And by the way, though, can you imagine just being the first person to walk into a building after it's completed and they're like, oh, we were trying to figure out how to name the bar. But what's your name?
I'm always walking into buildings and hoping that happens, and it never does.
If someone wanted to name a bar after us, that would be delightful.
Yeah, but also,
no?
Well, I don't know if you can just call it M and Christine the bar, because I feel like we would want to make sure that it's not covered in like indigenous art or something. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want my name on just like any place. You know what I mean?
I see. How about
hit us up if you want to name your company after us, and we'll be thrilled and delighted.
Here's the situation, though. We're called and That's Why We Drink. Why on earth do we have our own pop-up bar?
That's a great question.
And I'm asking you publicly because I've asked privately for years.
And was not satisfied with my answer, I guess.
I don't know how.
Let's do it. That's my answer. I don't know.
For Halloween, a pop-up spooky and That's Why We Drink themed bar? Come on. No?
I'm in. I've always been in. You know that. I just don't know what I need to do to make this work. What do you want me to do?
Maybe it's what others can do. Maybe you reach out and show interest, so then we can tell our manager that this could work.
So weird, out of nowhere, people just want this bar.
They're just rallying together. They all it's a very organic thought of theirs. We did not shove it down their throats.
It's like the weirdest thing. I don't know how anybody came up with it.
Anyway, maybe October 2024, depending on people's interest.
Yeah, hit us up, folks.
So, this became a very swanky hotel, and dignitaries would stay there. You know I love a dignitary.
I know you do.
Including 6 presidents. Would you like to guess guess the 6.
This
I'll
is
tell you if you
so
get even one right.
I'm gonna say like Obama, and you're gonna be like, he was not alive yet, dummy. Let me think.
He was alive while the hotel existed, but he is not one of the.
But
Try
not
older. Try
right,
further
right.
back.
Lyndon B. Johnson,
No.
Garfield,
No. Who are some famous older
Hoover.
presidents? No. I'm
Fuck!
sorry. I don't know.
Polk.
Girl, I said more famous ones, and you
don't
went
know
Polk?
any more famous ones. George
Okay.
Washington.
Okay, that one's a good guess, but no. Especially because he was around
Harrison
200 years before.
Ford. Wait, Harrison Ford. No, that's an actor. Sorry, I meant
Gerald Ford?
Gerald. I almost called him Harold, but it's fine.
That one's right. Gerald Harrison Ford.
I told you I knew it. Harrison Ford. What's wrong with me?
So Han Solo came here.
I mean, maybe.
Also, Coolidge, FDR, Eisenhower, Nixon, and Reagan.
FDR, Eisenhower. I'm just double checking to make sure you didn't miss one that I said, but you didn't, so don't worry.
Obama doesn't seem to be on my list, and neither does
weird.
Harrison Ford. But maybe, I don't know. Honestly, maybe they could have been there, and no one wrote it down. I mean,
they just forgot. It's with the
like
blueprints of the basement somewhere. Maybe that's where he stayed. I don't know. Just a thought.
So during this time, the hotel was also home to Alfred Hitchcock and Cary Grant because they were filming part of the movie North by Northwest.
You mean Hugh Grant?
Yes, I'm so sorry.
Wow, those are like the only two actors I know, Harrison Ford and Hugh Grant, and I used to get them mixed up. You
also get Jude Law mixed up with everybody.
Well, I'm sure has stayed there before because I think I've seen it.
I feel like if you saw a little girl walking around the lobby, you'd go, "Oh my God, is that Jude Law?" Like, cover me. I'm so nervous. What will they think of me?
I might get asked for an autograph.
You could go up to Harrison Ford and be like, "Are you Jude Law?"
Jude Law.
And he'd go, "No, I'm Gerald Ford."
I'm so confused.
So, yeah, Alfred Hitchcock and Cary Grant stayed in this hotel while they were filming North by Northwest.
Cool.
Which, again, weird full circle. Well, I guess not really weird. They fully intentionally stayed here because they were filming at Mount Rushmore. But so in the movie, apparently there's this famous scene, which I'm not a movie buff. I don't know how popular North by Northwest is. Maybe it's significantly popular, and I just am...
It sounds like something like film students would know, and we as lowly TV students would never know. Exactly.
And apparently there's this infamous scene where I watched it on YouTube and I was not moved, unfortunately.
Oh, no.
But I assume Cary Grant and another woman, they're climbing down literally on their fucking faces, climbing down Mount Rushmore.
Oh.
And I could see that being a big deal if they actually climbed down Mount Rushmore's face. But that was movie magic. They didn't actually climb. Can you imagine just free falling off of Mount Rushmore in the 20s or whatever that movie came?
I'm not going to guess which presidents are on Mount Rushmore. I know I should know that, but like falling off one of their noses, probably Harold Ford or like one of the others.
Like they're like hanging on like the eyelids of somebody.
What?
And like, but so I guess maybe it was like this huge scene because maybe back then they'd never seen anything like it on TV.
Right, movie magic was probably a lot more jarring and impressive.
Well, so get this. I think Alfred Hitchcock actually planned on filming that at Mount Rushmore.
Okay.
Like, I think he really was going to tell an actor, hey, we have like no like checks and balances on this. Like,
right.
No one's going to know. Just go hang off of Mount Rushmore while I film you
Nobody's
real quick,
looking.
And then we'll head home.
Go climb on his nostril real quick.
It seems like only they were at this hotel and not like any crew that would be there to catch them.
Not a rope.
No net, nothing. It just seems like they took a road trip and they'd be like, it'd be crazy for the movie. Go jump off of Mount Rushmore and I'll film it.
Just kidding. Unless.
But then the U.S. National Parks heard about that and they were like, you can't film here. We don't trust you.
I like that even back then the parks were like, people are so dumb trying to climb on everything.
Yeah. They were like, no, you can head right back home. So they ended up basically having like a hangout at this hotel and then went back to Los Angeles to do the movie magic version. Anyway, that's the fun fact for you. Alfred Hitchcock stayed there and like foiled. Also and didn't film what he planned on filming. Also, someone who's a movie buff is probably ripping their hair out that I said it all wrong, but whatever.
And that's okay.
Fun fact, this hotel is now one of the oldest buildings in Rapid City, and it's also one of the most haunted. So I already mentioned him before, but General Manager Dom Rodriguez, he believes in the ghosts because so many people have come up to him, but he has not seen anything. A likely story.
Mm-hmm.
And he says that guests and staff had all had experiences. He often hears guests reporting on something without even knowing the hotel's haunted. And I think that's what really wooed him with all this.
Mm-hmm.
There are allegedly 4 main spirits. The main one, say it with me, Christine.
A lady in white. Or red or black.
But she, in this time, it is white.
Yeah, man, I should have just fucking had the strength of my convictions. But I didn't.
She is the best known ghost there. They always are.
Mm-hmm.
And I swear to God, it's the same lady in white just hopping from hotel to hotel for eternity.
She's a jet setter.
She is the best known ghost in this hotel. You can find her in room 812. And the story goes, do you need me to tell you, folks, that she was jilted on her wedding night and thus somehow died by suicide. This time, I guess it's jumping out of the window. It seems to be jumping out of the window a lot with these lady in white stories that are never fully confirmed by anybody.
Right.
I feel like every hotel is like, that's a good one. We also have one of those now. Like, just kind of just keeps
we
going.
We gotta get
with
ourselves a lady in white.
Yeah.
all the big magnates are doing it.
So, they say that the story gets, over time a little muddled where they don't know if she jumped out of the window or what have you. Another version is that she was actually murdered there because she was about to inherit a large amount of money.
Oh, jeez.
Okay. Either way, she died, and we don't actually have any concrete proof of that happening.
Right.
There is now people see a woman on the 8th floor in the hallway, allegedly in a wedding dress, and people also hear a woman crying in her room. Which, if that's true, is very sad.
I know. I was going to say, so, like, obviously we're a little skeptical just because this is such a widespread, like, urban legend in so many places. But, like, if you did see a lady in white, like, would you be like, I mean, I guess you probably would, but would you be like, oh, shit, so it's real?
Like, me personally?
Yeah. I don't know what kind of question but
I think at this point, if I saw a lady in white, I'd be like, finally, I at least saw one.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. Like, okay, so one of these out of the 100,000 we've covered is legit. Okay. I mean,
I don't know. I think I do think I'm jaded on this because every hotel,
that's the word, jaded. Yeah.
I'm just guessing now. The next time I cover a hotel, there will be a lady in white. I don't even know. But I would bet money. Like, that's a good gamble.
Look at us gambling away our life savings.
I know. And but so I think if I saw one, I would just be excited to tell you I finally saw one of the ones we're always talking about.
I'd be thrilled.
It's also weird how many places have a jilted bride who was so overwhelmed with losing her husband that she died that night.
Like, if it all stemmed from like one or a couple that were actually true, and then like people just kind of spread the story. I don't know. I
feel like at least half of them have to not be real. I feel like if you keep it vague enough of like, oh, there's a hotel where a bride died, and now people see a lady in white, you can now just through the game of telephone. I feel like 10 hotels will catch on to that. I don't know.
I'm with you, and I wonder like which one was the one that was like, no, but ours really happened.
or maybe I'm wildly ignorant too.
All the bride jilting,
depressed
that
brides. Yeah.
You asshole.
I don't know. I hope they're not all true. I would hate. First of all, I'd feel like an asshole, but also I hope it's not true
we don't want
that many
be
brides are jumping to their death.
Ugh.
But it is weird how we don't even have to. I might not even bring it up next time because I'm so over these ladies.
No, you should, just so we can keep like a running count. But yeah, I get what you're saying. It is kind of like
someone made like this very incredible map of all the stories we've ever covered that I know you saw. We posted on Instagram.
I'm making a face. You're like, you saw it.
No. Remember, it was like some sort of like infograph where it was like.
I never opened it. I think it got sent on Slack and I forgot to check it.
Oh, interesting. I think it's on Instagram, but if I know Megan would know what I'm talking about. It's like someone listened to every episode and actually mapped out where all of our stories are from.
And they're finally like in South Dakota.
Yeah, you can finally write that one down on your list.
Yay.
But I wonder if they've also, and if they haven't, don't worry about going back and listening all over again. But it would be interesting to know how many ladies in white, ladies in red, ladies in whatever we've mentioned, because I feel like it's 300 out of 300 episodes.
I am curious, yes.
So Lady in White, you see her in room 812. Other people think either it was a suicide or a murder. And now people see a woman roaming the halls on the 8th floor. People say they hear her crying. They also say that 812's windows will open and shut by themselves. This part is real fucking creepy. That in 812, apparently the dresser will open by itself and not always do the usual just like throwing your stuff out of the dresser. It will pull the whole drawer out, dump your clothes out of it, and then put the drawers back in upside down.
What? Upside down?
Yeah.
As somebody who always has to pull plastic bags out from behind one of those drawers because they get stuck behind the drawer, like, I know how hard it is to pull those fucking drawers out.
You know what would be so judgmental? If only certain clothing of yours got pulled out. It was like, I don't like this one.
It was like, you really, really paid money for this. Ugh.
Gotta go. I also
white
love
is my color as the lady in white, so please put that away.
I love the symbolism of the dresser being pulled out and the clothes being dumped as a way of being like, get the fuck out of here, you're not welcome.
Like, literally, I don't even want to touch the clothes. Like, I'm just gonna dump them without even touching them. Like, that is
most
harsh.
people don't have the cosmic strength I do to lift a whole ass full drawer out of a dresser.
So shocking.
But I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, that's so shocking. Like, maybe this is the real lady in white. She's like, yeah, I'm trying to make myself known here. Everyone else is stealing my fucking story.
It's another one of those conversation pieces that we've had a million times. But do you think if you had a camera rolling in that room, the dresser drawer would be out and then in? Or do you think you could watch the ghost struggle to pull the drawer out like we've all done?
And then put it in, but the wrong way. And they did it by accident. They didn't even realize it was on the wrong track. I think our camera would do that thing where it just skips.
Yeah.
And it misses time. And you're like, well, shit.
What a shame, because I would love to see the ghost getting fed up and just like shove it in upside down because it's the only way it'll get in.
That would make, if we promise we won't show it to anybody, then we can get it on camera, because I would love to see that.
Anyway, I like, what a statement of like, just get out of here.
Yeah, it's rude.
Also, there's a quote about 812 from one of the people who stayed there. I've never in my whole life walked into a room and been as instantaneously and intensely creeped out as when I walked into room 812 for the first time. My skin immediately started to crawl and did so for the entire evening. Then one of the hotel lobby clerks, his name's Raz Goldman, he said, there's something I always feel a little creeped out on the 8th floor for. For me in room 812, the safe would not open, and we did everything we could and it wouldn't open. Finally, I called maintenance and the safe just flung open. I don't know why or how that happened, but it did.
And then it put itself back upside down. This is like poltergeisty, though. Like, that's creepy.
Yeah, the general manager put out a statement saying that the spirit is peaceful, but okay. I don't really want to be near.
Passive aggressive as fuck.
Yeah, peaceful, but like your clothes aren't safe at the very least.
An asshole, yeah.
And maybe your personal belongings if you're going to put it in the safe. She might keep it.
I would be careful what you say.
There's also apparently a second jilted bride here.
What?
Not a lady in red, just like a random secondary character. She's also on the 8th floor in room 802, and she's said to have hanged herself with the phone cord.
Oh, fuck.
What's morbidly interesting about this is that this is the story that unfortunately we have some sort of confirmation for, because the Rapid City Police Department showed the general manager crime scene photos.
No. See, this is what's happening. I'm like, what do you think? And then it's like, well, then it is real, and I wish it wasn't real.
So I don't know if like the details of like a phone cord are specific, but there were crime scene photos of somebody who died by suicide.
Horrible.
And then also recently, a guest brought in a newspaper article that they found that said, quote, a young woman died on August 18th as a result of a fall from the 8th floor of the Alex Johnson Hotel.
Oh, shit.
So now we don't know if that's an additional death or if that confirms maybe the lady in white being pushed, or we don't really know. It's just like a vague additional death.
Wow. Well, I mean,
but
didn't you say the lady in white allegedly jumped out the window?
Allegedly jumped. So this is the closest we have to
Any sort
evidence
of,
that the lady in white as a ghost is real.
I see.
But we don't know. It could just be that someone fell, and
right.
It has no connection to her being a bride, or if she was, rejected on her wedding day.
Right. That might have been just like adding to the story.
It could, yeah. This could be. I mean, this is a very real death, and then the lady in white storyline could just like be the same one that we hear at every hotel.
Right.
On top of that, the third ghost is Alex Johnson himself, who died in the hotel in 1938 because he lived on the 3rd floor. So this is what I think is weird, is that the rooms on the 3rd floor, there's only 2 rooms, and the rooms are 304 and 305. Why wouldn't you start at 301? Not my business, I guess. So
it's very odd.
I know. So he lived on the 3rd floor, aka both of those rooms, and now the 3rd floor itself is also incredibly haunted, and people see him walking around, I guess, keeping an eye on things. And the 4th and final main ghost is...
Sorry to interrupt. Do people stay on the 3rd floor? Is it still just...
Now it's 304 and 305, yeah. So I guess they're maybe
really
like...
big?
I guess so. Maybe they're like suites.
They have like drains in all the floors just in case.
Yeah. And the 4th ghost is of a little girl who's allegedly Alex Johnson's niece or daughter, who I guess she died early of maybe polio, a disease.
One of those.
Well, in general, they've said a disease, but a couple sources said polio, but I'm not sure. But she is also seen on the 8th floor, and she's heard running down the halls. She's heard giggling at night. I hate that. And I don't care how much fun she's having for eternity. I don't want to hear you laugh.
Don't bring me into it,
Also, she's known to knock on guests' doors, and then when they open the door, nobody's there. Sound familiar, Christine?
Yeah. It
seems like when you put little kid ghosts in hotels, they don't know anything more fun than knocking on doors and not DoorDash.
Ding dong. DoorDash.
Ding dong ditch.
Ding dong ditch. I mean, I get it. Like it's like an age old activity, like everyone can appreciate a good ding dong ditch moment.
Yeah. Or a DoorDash. I appreciate those moments quite a lot.
I also appreciate that. Yes. Agreed.
So she is that's like her favorite game. Couldn't get enough of it. She will knock on doors truly forever. And just giggle and giggle and giggle and then run down the hall. So a lot of guests have actually complained of children being too loud in the hall when no kids are actually staying there. And those are the main 4. The other stories are people seeing apparitions in their room or down the hall, hearing knocking, hearing growling. Apparently, pianos will play by themselves in empty rooms. The elevator will stop working randomly. I could chalk that one up to it's a 100-year-old elevator, but okay. And people also get footage. There's photos of the lady in white that people have gotten, and people have sent in videos of things they've seen too. So one of the main ones is that the key rack behind the front desk was just shaking by itself for no reason.
Oh no.
So the 2 rooms on the 3rd floor plus 812 and 802, those are the most haunted rooms in case you're trying to creep yourself out. This is a quote from somebody who stayed in one of the rooms that said, "I woke up around 3 a.m. because I could feel the sheets moving. I waited for a moment and I could feel someone slowly slide into the bed next to me."
Oh my God. The fact that it's slowly means like they're trying not to wake you, which is just like, and you're awake. Ooh. Oh, it's horrific.
Oh, the way you said that. I hated it.
It gives me the shivers.
Yeah, and it's like, were you trying to be polite? Like, just gonna squeeze right past
right.
ya? Or is it like, you don't know I'm here?
Exactly. Like, oh, good, they're not awake yet. Like, what's the fucking vibe?
Ooh, I don't know if you can see that, but they are,
man. I'm like,
my goose cam, my little hairs on my arm are sky high.
Ooh, we got to get some 4K video footage in here to really capture her skin bumps.
There really is nothing creepier than feeling something sit on a bed or, I mean, never mind. Climbing under your sheets up
Well,
to you in the bed is pretty bad.
ugh.
Wow. And apparently, that's just usual
That's
there.
just life, you know?
That's just life. It's you roll with the punches.
At the Alex Johnson Hotel.
Rodriguez says that guests often report things. He said the average is at least once a month someone gets something. He also said that men are more likely to experience something unusual and that more hauntings happen in the wintertime.
Really?
I don't know why.
Isn't every month wintertime except like July?
What?
In South Dakota, sorry.
Oh my god. I was like, is that
you were
philosophy?
like, are you well?
I was like, could you talk to a weatherman about that?
I'm sorry. I meant, like,
isn't every month
you were like
the winter?
Like, we know you don't know how to say September properly, but like you gotta cool it with this like nonsense. Oh, it's embarrassing. I meant
you said it so confidently. I was
know.
like, am I missing something?
We're
You really
all being
gaslit me.
lied to by somebody, probably a meteorologist, if I were to guess.
Probably you. Yeah.
Oh, right. It's me.
There's one guy that's a valet manager at the hotel who he's so used to people being woken up at 3 a.m. and like feeling something in bed with them. This is a quote from him. I would say almost half my job. He's a valet manager, by the way.
Oh, no.
I would say almost half my job is guest consolation in the morning when someone has felt like they were visited by a ghost in the middle of the night.
Imagine him writing his resume and it, like the bullet points are like manage this many employees, like you like go on thesaurus to find like the right word for manage, you know, or
Yeah.
like I know how to execute things properly, but then he's like, how do I like really flush out
consoled guests post midnight terror.
Yeah, like therapy sessions with clients. Like I don't know how you would even phrase that. That's something.
He's also said so many trustworthy people from all kinds of different professions from all over the world end up sharing those stories here. And to me, there's only a limited number of times that you can hear those stories and still assume it's random chance that they keep happening in 3 specific rooms on 1 specific floor.
Great fucking point. I gotta hand it to him.
Since the hotel opened in 1928, there are officially 8 total deaths, but some of them are still unsolved. And a lot of them just never even got mentioned. It was pretty much just like the Lady in White story, and that's it. But we do know that there were 8 deaths, so
Jeez.
I guess technically there are other hotel rooms that could be incredibly haunted.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what about the other ones? I guess they just pale in comparison to the drama.
If the hotel staff are openly, like if the general manager is like owning that this place is haunted,
Yeah.
wouldn't you want to mention the other haunted rooms?
I would think so, especially because these ones so far have already been kind of brutal and horrible. So
Yeah. Also, like, can you imagine if all 8 of these deaths are happening in the same room? Because that's a fucking coinky dink.
that's also its own fucking story. Then
Yeah.
I would
Terrifying.
not stay there. I would stay there if there was a ghost, but not if like multiple people were literally dying for no reason in that room.
Oof. One thing that I will say is that on top of everything, there are poltergeist experiences, like I mentioned earlier, like
Right.
the drawer being opened. But people, like I said, they hear growling. People have also said that they have seen things flying across the room. They have seen figures in the mirrors. People have been shoved and bitten.
Oh, ooh.
Bitten is so crazy and
That's
like
horrifying.
also like intimate, like a wild.
Yes.
That's wild. That's a mouth on your skin.
Oh my god! And also, like, who are you that you're biting people in the afterlife? You know,
Who
like,
are you?
like
Yeah.
shoving somebody. You know, we've all been like in that. Like, I get it if you're confused as a ghost or they're in your space, but like biting, like, why are you doing that?
I've never hated somebody so much where I was like, I can't wait to fucking bite
Right?
them.
Like, I don't want to put my mouth on someone I don't like. So why? Why biting?
That makes me think that it's like not human. Like it's an animal.
Oh! I thought you meant just like a demon, but yeah.
Oh, well, yes. It could be also a demon for sure.
Could be the
I don't
one.
know.
No,
We'll have to
nothing in
trace the
between.
teeth marks.
Ah.
And then of course, who could forget that apparently there are, the chairs in the hotel room. People have said that they get randomly thrown at the staff by nothing. They just fly
no.
across the room at people.
Oh no.
So no thanks at all on that. Taps, the not Ghost
Oh,
Adventures, Ghost Hunters.
right.
They came to the Alex Johnson Hotel and they said that they got their hair pulled. They could feel breath on them. They heard different EVPs. They got a deep voice and a female voice. They heard squeaking. Um, and on top of that, I mean, they also heard intelligent knocking when asked multiple times. They said, "Can you do this?" And then they would get knocks. Oh, and as for more poltergeist activity, dogs refuse to go into certain rooms.
See, I don't like that.
Yeah, I don't like any of that.
Mm-mm.
But if you're someone who does like that and you want to stay at this hotel, you can get the Ghost Adventure package where
No.
you stay in one of the haunted rooms. They give you an EMF detector and they give you a $25 dining credit and you get access to their very classy members only rooftop bar, the Vertex Sky Bar, and free valet for the night. Free valet for the night probably means like free consolation from this like, poor valet manager
and a
later.
free therapy session in the morning. No, you probably have to pay for that.
Yeah. Other than that, staff have admitted to seeing, quote, figures in the mirrors, things flying off the shelves, cups sliding across the desk like someone or something is moving them. They've also gone into rooms, thinking that they like had to do a work order, and when they knocked on the door, they heard someone say hello or come on in, and then when they got in, no one was there. Weirdly, this is just like an extra bonus, I guess, but some people have seen the spirit of a football player.
I thought you were going to say football, and I was like, now I'm listening.
That's crazy.
It's one with teeth, and it bites people. Oh, wait, that was a weird dream I
had. So if you see a football player, you're getting like the limited edition bonus ghost.
Congrats.
And that's about it, I guess. I got nothing else to say to you.
We don't know who the football player is. Is he just dressed as a football player? Is that how we know?
It's actually Harrison Ford.
Okay, all right.
But yeah, there's the main thing is the lady in white. And then when Taps was there, they were able to confirm that it was super haunted. And if you want that for yourself, you can get the Ghost Adventure package.
Why do they call it the Ghost Adventure package?
I wonder if they want you to feel like Zach Bagans was there, which as to people who have been in a hotel after Zach Bagans was there, it's not worth your time.
No, I would be careful what you wish for,
Yeah,
we
can tell you
therapy package the next day.
On full authority, we can tell you it is not as fun as it seems.
No, in fact, it's much less.
Anyway, that's the Alex Johnson Hotel.
Good job.
Thank you.
I enjoyed that.
Good.
Okay, I have a Moida story for you. A Moida.
A Moida.
Not another Moida. This is the story of Grace Mullane. Of course it's sad. I don't know why I almost said it's sad. They were all fucking sad.
Yeah.
So I don't even know why I give you that little tidbit at the start.
Speaking of jaded, I appreciate that you're not jaded enough to still tell us 334 times later
that
it's gonna be sad. Yeah.
Oh, that was one reason I was gonna say that I drink is because we did episode 333, which is like half of 666, and we had talked about doing something very exciting, and then we completely forgot. So
yeah, we only found out after we recorded, and we asked Eva what episode that was, and then we found out it was 333.
And I was like, well, literally just stopped recording. Oh well. So to start off, there was a documentary called The Murder of Grace Mullane, Social Media Killings, that it's on the BBC, and a lot of this information comes from that documentary.
Mm-hmm.
And just to start off, because sometimes I like to just fucking push you off a cliff into the sadness.
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. I'm coming with you at least. Grace's family, she was the victim in this story, shared a statement for the documentary, so I'll read it here. Grace was a kind, fun-loving, adventurous daughter, sister, cousin, and friend with her whole life ahead of her. She was enjoying the first of what would have been a lifetime of adventures before her life was cruelly and brutally cut short. Her sense of fun, adventure, her love of travel and exploring, along with her ability to light up any room she walked into with her generosity of spirit, are the memories we as her family cherish and how we will remember her.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's a toughie.
Oof.
So the story takes place in 2018, And Grace Mullane at the time was a 21-year-old young woman from Wickford, Essex in England. And she planned to take a gap year to solo travel after graduating from university. So, according to Grace's best friend, they'd been friends since grade school. Her name's Paige Gallagher, and she's quoted a few times throughout this story. Grace was a bubbly, kind, caring person. She was always looking after me. She was always the one to take care of everyone else. And apparently, she was also known to bring her camera everywhere to keep track of all her fun adventures and activities.
That sounds like any fun kid of
Like a young person with,
What year was this?
2018.
Yeah, I feel like that was if you didn't have a phone yet, I feel like we as kids went through an era of like you have your phone and your camera.
Your cool pics.
Your cool pics. Everyone had a cool pics.
Yeah.
So I feel like, that was very common of like, well, I got to get, you don't know when you're going to need to take a picture.
Okay, but this was 2018. So like.
Oh shit, I keep thinking 2008.
I know. I got that mixed up too. So like in 2018 she was 21. So quite a bit younger than us. So was born, I assume, in 97.
Okay.
But I don't know, maybe she had one of those cool fancy cameras that like, I don't know.
I was always jealous of like the people who like
the photography folks.
The antique vintage fold out cameras. I feel like if you're into photography, you just always got one on you.
And they're like, you don't use film? And I'm like, I did. And then I opened it by accident and it all turned black. So I don't use that anymore.
Yeah.
So she is doing this gap year. She was like a very creative person, a painter, an adventurer. She loved to travel, was like really good at making new friends no matter where she went. So in 2018, she planned this 6-week solo trek through Peru and then on to New Zealand.
Wow.
So the first leg through Peru, oh my God, sorry. I just found a cucumber on my lap. I'm going to eat it.
When it's been at least an hour since you had a cucumber, because I have been talking to you the whole time. Where did that come from? Did you eat cucumbers today, or was that from a whole other day?
It's from my sandwich that I have next to me. So I must have just picked it up at one point and set it back down because I haven't really been eating it. But I just needed a little sustenance, you know.
That's much better because I definitely thought you just found
well,
that
and to
from
be fair,
like
I didn't realize where it was from until after I ate it. So that was my bad.
Your life is crazy.
I know I'm a wild child. What can I say?
I've never picked something up and just been like, let's see if I enjoy this.
Really? That's all I do.
No. No. If I can't remember eating it in the last half an hour, I'm not putting it in my mouth.
I'll eat it. You're like, nobody offered it.
You're worse than Gio, maybe. I think he'd see that and be like, that was from a while ago.
That might be where he gets it from, honestly. He does eat rocks and stuff, so that could be from me. That's a bad influence, yeah. Anyway, so she is on this trip. It's a 6-week solo trek through Peru and onto New Zealand, and she had a wonderful time during the first leg through Peru, and she made lots of friends along the way and was keeping in touch with her home base. So back in England, her family and friends were there, keeping track of her and her journey. And she also posted photos of her adventures to social media. So once she got to New Zealand, she, kept her like social streak going. She made lots of new friends along backpacking routes. And one of them said, Grace was just like everyone else you meet while you're backpacking. You're all out there for the same adventure. So they're all just like getting along, passing each other, I don't know, doing parts of the journey together. And at the end of November, Grace decided she was kind of out of the backpacking part of this trip. She wanted to ditch the trails and go to Auckland and just explore the city. So her new friends stayed and did, their hiking, their backpacking, and she decided to stay in Auckland and just explore the more urban parts of New Zealand. So this means basically she was on her own again, like doing solo travel again. So Grace did what a lot of people do when they're traveling solo and turned to dating apps to find some locals who could show her around the city.
Mm-hmm.
And I know my cousin did this when she was visiting me in LA, and I was like, you're meeting someone from Tinder? And she's like, oh, just like to like get a ride to Venice and get a tour.
That's crazy.
And I was like,
because
I don't like strangers that much, but I guess this young woman was much more sociable than I.
I mean, it doesn't seem that weird based on like, I don't know. I know more about like Bumble BFF, but
Right.
like I've seen people on there say like, I'm only in town for 24 hours. Take me to
Yeah.
lunch. And I'm
Yeah.
like, all right, I'm not going to swipe on you. But
No, you said all right. And I'm like, wow, that was easy to convince
no,
you.
all right is in like, all right, that's a different way
Good
of
luck
living
with
than I
that.
would
Yeah,
handle it.
yeah. I'm not, I like, if I'm somewhere for a day, I'm like, can I just, I mean, I'll either Google it or just like lay in bed and pretend like I am just at home, which is probably not a healthy way to approach travel either, but it just sounds exhausting.
It does. It sounds like if you're only in town for a short amount of time, I don't know. I mean, Allison's like that though. Like
I
she'll
know
travel.
she's good at stuff like that.
When she went to the Philippines before I got there, and she like made a friend, and on the same day they ended up going on like an 8-hour tour together. I was like, whoa, that's
yeah, but like it's a lot of like brave. It's very brave because I'm like, what if that person annoys me? And then like,
yeah.
and like I'm not even
That's my
that
first
easily
thought.
annoyed by people, but I feel like, but if they are, or if there's something like where you're like,
I don't
oh
want to
shit,
ruin a whole day of my trip. Like,
yeah, it's sort of like, oh, so now like what if they say something like, oh, and my house is filled with indigenous artifacts that I stole from this hotel in South, like whatever, I don't know, but I'm like, I don't want to be friends with this person. Now I'm stuck with them for 7 more hours. And I'm sure that's just how my brain works. I'm sure that's not how it actually goes with people
that's how
who
my
do
brain
this.
works. When
Yeah.
Allison texts me and she's like, "Oh yeah, we're still
I made
hanging
a
out," I'm
friend.
like, I'm glad, and I guess it makes sense in some ways because at least you make a friend, and in a place that you don't know, maybe they have some like safety tips or something.
Yeah, or yeah, it's also like you think safety in numbers. Like at least you have a companion now, and you're not a woman traveling
Yeah.
solo. Yeah,
Or
I
maybe
totally get it.
maybe they speak the language and you don't if you're in a certain area.
Yeah.
But it is still bizarre to me. But I guess it's no different than like probably the first time someone ever introduced the concept of an Uber. It's like, oh, you get in a car
Yes.
with a random person.
Yes, that's a great point, Em. I feel like I just haven't been in that position enough to really have a fair assessment, but in my head, it's not enjoyable. But I can see why people do it, and I'm like, good for you. You know, I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm impressed by that attitude, and I wish I were more like that. But even when I'm traveling, I'm just like already tired thinking about it. I don't want to go like
I'm exhausted trying to figure out my own way. I don't want to have to like mingle with somebody I don't
God.
know. Yeah.
And I'm also like really indecisive, and I feel like I'm not good in a partnership like that because I'll just let them decide everything, and like
I'm
I
so
don't know.
picky with what is fun to me and what's not. I'd be so scared that I was with somebody who wanted to do like, what if I met somebody and they're like, look, we don't know anybody. Do you want to form an alliance while we're here? Also, let's go hiking. I'd be like, oh,
Yeah,
be like,
wrong
that sounds
friend.
awful.
And I would be like, oh, that sounds awful. But I'd go, that sounds perfect. Let's go. And then I would hate everything about it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not good enough to stand my ground. I feel like I'd be like, okay. And then just be mad at myself.
I mean, I've ended up in this situation before. Can you imagine being next to somebody and you find out that they're like not vaccinated and they're coughing?
That's what I'm
like,
saying.
It's like,
Yeah,
what?
exactly. It's like, how do you vet somebody so quickly? I mean, maybe people are just better at navigating.
We just have significant trust issues.
We're
I
just
think
really damaged. Could that be it? I doubt it. I don't think that's relevant. Anyway, so she's just like kicking ass, like having a great trip, like keeping her friends and family updated. And so she turned to dating apps to meet up with locals who would show her around the city. So again, this is like a common thing among solo travelers. You know, you meet a nice person in public. They can show you the best local spots. You can kind of, you know, take a look at them before you meet up. And this way you don't have to like GPS around by yourself all day. And that is how Grace met Jesse.
Mhm.
So the date was December 1st, and her birthday was December 2nd. So this was the day before her 22nd birthday.
Okay.
So Jesse was the same age as her, and he seemed kind, he seemed adventurous, and they agreed to get dinner that night. What Grace did not know is that Jesse was a very skilled liar and manipulator.
See, that's the other reason I won't just randomly talk to a stranger. I'm like, I don't know if this is a game we're both in on.
Yeah. And I will say too, like, and I mentioned this in a few bullet points, but I'm one of those people where I'm like, I can read people really well. So but somebody said that about him. Like, I usually read people really well, and this guy pulled the wool over my eyes. And I'm like,
Mm,
that's scary to me. Like, if you can be such a good sociopath that, like, even people who are like eyeing you,
yeah.
think you're safe, that disturbs me. So she obviously did not know this, and she met up with him for dinner. So this guy, Jesse, he had been living back and forth between Australia and New Zealand over the years, and he apparently, going back through his record, his history, just told people whatever story he felt like they either wanted to hear or would be the most impressed by. So I'll give you an example. He once told a landlord that he was a professional softball player.
Me too.
Yeah, exactly.
Not special.
Were you really? No, just kidding. That's how convincing you are. So he lied and said he was a professional softball player and he couldn't pay rent yet because he was just waiting for this season's paycheck. And he got away with it for months. And then when the landlord finally like realized like this was all just a con, he just ran and never paid his rent. And so he's
Mm,
also brazen in that way. Like he just, when he gets caught, he just fucking pieces out, you know?
it's a flight risk.
Yeah. Yeah. His landlord told reporters he was a very convincing liar. I thought I could read people, but I badly misjudged him. And that's when I'm like, uh-oh, I don't like that. So another person had some anecdotes about Jesse. Her name was Millie Mason, and she was Jesse's former housemate. She met him in 2016 when she and her friends needed someone, another roommate, to fill an empty room that had opened up on their release. Normal, right? Like put an ad out for somebody. And when he responded to the vacancy ad on Facebook, they were like, we looked into him. He seemed really nice. We met him. He was chatty and lovely. He told them that his dad was a restaurant tycoon in Australia. And then he said he was actually going to be buying a popular restaurant in Auckland.
Mm.
But here's where he misjudged the situation. Millie actually knew the owner of that popular restaurant in Auckland and was like, "Are you planning to sell to, like,
Ugh,
my roommate says he's planning to buy your restaurant." And the owner was like, "No, I'm not and I don't know who that is, and I'm not selling him my
what?
restaurant."
Wow, that's a very lucky
It is,
coincidence.
right? And I like to think that eventually something would have slipped, but like it seems like she was just really lucky to like have made that, connection in her mind. So she went and asked, and the guy was like, or whoever owns the restaurant was like, "No, I'm not planning to sell."
Hmm.
So that's when she realized like things are a little off. So she starts keeping like a keener eye on this guy, Jesse.
Mm-hmm.
And when she went to that restaurant one night for dinner, the one that she knew the owner, she saw Jesse working behind the bar. And
What?
he's an employee there. So he made up this story like, I'm going to be buying this popular restaurant, when really
Uh-huh.
he was either I don't know, a bar back or a bartender or something like that. And he kind of just made up the story. So she saw him. This is wild. And when he saw her and they made eye contact, he walked out of the restaurant and never went back to work again.
I was
Just
gonna
like
say he
left,
bolted.
just left.
Wow.
Never worked there again.
That's so
So,
wild that he I sorry.
no,
I
no.
wonder what his I wonder what someone's mentality is when they're like that, where it's like never having to own up to anything you're doing and like knowing you're wrong the whole time for you
Yeah.
to just immediately jet. That's
I
crazy.
bet it's like, oh, I've just gotten away with it so many times I can just go somewhere new and lie and say I've worked in restaurants for 30 years and.
It's wild that you would think like, "Hey, I don't want to run around anymore. Maybe I'd just be fucking honest."
Right?
It's crazy.
Yeah, I agree with you on this, obviously. But yeah, so they're weirded out. But again, he's on their lease now, or he's at least subletting from them. And so she and her friends start feeling uneasy. Like, what else is this guy hiding? Like, he clearly lied about like his whole life. So, we're wary of him. And
Mhm.
one night, one of the roommates or the housemates was alone when Jesse came home very drunk. And we don't know what he said, but apparently his behavior was so off that this housemate, she slept with a knife in her room because she was so afraid of him.
Holy shit.
And it was basically at this moment that they stopped leaving each other alone. So they always made sure there were at least two people in addition to Jesse in the house at any given time to make sure nobody was
Mm.
left alone with him, which like, hello, giant red flag. If you have to
Yeah.
like, I mean, I'm not blaming them. I'm just saying like, wow, that's how you know how bad it is. They refuse to be alone with him in the house.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's just a little backstory about Jesse. So Grace meets Jesse on Tinder, seems like a great guy. So she goes into her date expecting kind of this friendly, genuine guy, and that's who he acts like on the date. During the date, her friend texts her, "How's the date going?" And Grace responded, "I click with him so well. I'll let you know what happens tomorrow." But the friend never heard from her again.
Yeah.
So December 2nd, Grace did not return to her hostel. And keep in mind, it's her birthday now, her 22nd birthday.
Oh, man.
Her best friend Paige, messaged her happy birthday and heard nothing. And she thought it was odd, but she was like, well, she's traveling and, in a different time zone and is making friends. So maybe she's just celebrating her birthday. But then Paige kind of touched base with the other family and friends and found out nobody had heard from Grace on her birthday, not even her family members. And that's when they started to get nervous. So people at the hostel where she was staying were getting nervous as well when she didn't return to her room. So her backpacking friends start reaching out to each other and figuring out that nobody has seen Grace for over a day. And by the time detectives actually got the missing persons report set up, it turns out Grace's backpacking friends were already putting up missing persons flyers all over Auckland, asking people to contact them, which I think that's so cool that she met these people backpacking presumably a week or two ago, and now they're throughout the city putting up missing posters and being like, help us find our friend. I don't know. I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
So detectives knew that this would quickly become an international circus, media-wise, and it did. It was all over the radio and TV in England, especially in Grace's hometown, which must be really hard for her family. Her story blew up on social media. People in Essex said it was impossible to scroll anywhere without seeing an article being posted about her disappearance. And Grace's family, meanwhile, decided to travel to New Zealand. And while they're there, her father makes a media statement appealing for her safe return, any info about her whereabouts. And detectives start looking into Grace's social media. The last person to comment on any of her social media was a man named Jesse Shane.
Oh, okay.
So detectives messaged him and found out his full name was Jesse Shane Kempson. And the next day, he actually reached out to police directly and said, "Oh, were you trying to touch base with me?" And they asked him to come in for some questions. So on Tuesday, December 6th, he arrived at the police station to answer questions wearing a 3-piece suit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Going to church after this?
Right? Very odd for a early 20s guy to show up for questioning in a 3-piece suit, but whatever. People were weirded out. And one detective described, quote, "Throughout the interview, some things early on were a little bit odd, but some people are odd." I was like, oh, well, I guess that's a fair way to take it out. Yeah. So he told police, yes, I had been on a date with her the week before. We had matched on Tinder. We matched Friday, began talking Saturday, December 1st. And he said, the last time I saw her is when we parted ways after a casual dinner date. Meanwhile, which Jesse did not realize, is that detectives were actually following Grace's movements on CCTV footage throughout the city. So CCTV, or closed circuit television, basically everything stays in a closed circuit, believe it or not, so that it's not publicly broadcasted. And many countries use CCTV as a surveillance tool to investigate crimes. In some places like Auckland, CCTV has basically eyes on just about every street, intersection, grocery store, elevator, everything's covered. And this
How
is
lovely.
I know. I'm like, oh, fuck yeah. Because
that sounds great.
I would love for that to be used for the safety of others, but also it's raised a lot of controversy about surveillance states and the privacy. How private are we if they're filming everything we're doing? Where are they putting cameras? What's next? So I'm sure there's a lot of controversy, drama, back and forth surrounding that, and I don't know enough to say anything definitive, but in this case, at least it was beneficial to get to the bottom of this crime. So CCTV, they're looking through it for evidence, and it's only a few years ago, but the facial recognition was not as really advanced as it is now. And so it was a lot more of just minute by minute, second by second, watching just hours of every camera trying to find where she is and then follow her. So it's very very tedious and labor-intensive work.
But you're watching someone's whole day and like still getting cameras that might not catch her.
Yeah, well, they had to find her first. So they're like just watching them to try and find her. And then once they find her, then they have to like track every camera, which again, I imagine like incredibly tedious.
Mm-hmm.
But they're able to follow extensive footage of Grace on her date with Jesse through Auckland. And there was footage of them at the burger place for their date, standing at the counter, ordering food. Everything seems pretty normal on the footage, and Grace is smiling while they're chatting. Jesse told detectives he chose the public burger place in case Grace was a catfish because he was worried about his own safety. He said, I wanted it to be public for the security. And I'm not making that sound or face for people who are actually legitimately meeting people. Of course you want it to be public. This guy's just so full of shit that it makes me mad. He says, if she wasn't who she said she was, at least in my mind, I'd feel safe. Oh,
okay.
Yes. You and your 3-piece suit, you weirdo.
Yeah, Prince Charming.
Yeah, oh yeah, indeed. So when asked how their date ended, Jesse said there was a hug, a kiss on the cheek, and a thanks, nice meeting you. And he said the evening ended at an intersection between his hotel and Grace's hostel. He said at 8 p.m. they hugged and parted ways in opposite directions. So this is what he's telling. And so in the interrogation footage, you can see the detective asking Jesse to confirm the details several times. Like, okay, so you're sure this time, this intersection, you just kissed each other on the cheek, said bye, and went different directions. He says, yes, 100%. What he doesn't know is they're watching this, and it is not at all what he's saying is happening. So they're like, okay, glad we got him like repeatedly saying a bold-faced lie or bald-faced? Bald-faced lie.
Bald-faced?
Bald-face?
We're both bald-faced.
Bald-faced.
Bold-faced. Because you're bold, you're boldly saying it. Your face looks...
But I think it's a bald-faced lie, like it's... There's not...
But your face... But you can look bold as you're lying. Your face can be bold.
You could also be bald.
But no, a bald person could be bold.
Okay, well, I just Googled bald face and bold face lie, and they're both allegedly a thing.
What?
Yeah. Because it's like a bare face, like there's nothing concealing it. Like you're just baldly like saying something without any...
Understood.
You know what I mean?
I would think bold because you are like, how bold of you to just look me in the eyes and say it.
Yes, I think that's why it gets confused, but apparently bold and bald face are in common use, but experts prefer bald face lie.
Oh,
so that's why I said it.
Right, the experts, okay.
This article from the Bar Association of San Francisco says, don't say bold-faced when you mean bald-faced.
Okay, relax.
Also, don't tell me what to do. Okay, so in any case, he's telling this lie that's just...
has a face to it.
Has some sort of face. I can't confirm or deny. Anyway, he said he walked down the street to a bar after they parted ways and had 10 drinks. Okay. The next thing he remembered was waking up in his room at about 10 a.m. He said he was confident about the time he woke up because he checked his phone right away and it said 10 a.m. So, again, like I said, he didn't realize that the detectives are outside the room watching footage that is just directly contradicting everything he's saying. So in the actual CCTV footage, you can see them chatting for a while at the intersection. Then they both turn and walk down the street together toward Jesse's hotel, holding hands.
Okay.
Fucking liar. That moment, obviously, proved that his story was an outright lie. They watched more CCTV footage, which showed Grace walking into Jesse's hotel with his arm around her shoulder. They took an elevator to the 3rd floor where Jesse lived, and this is the last time Grace was sighted on any footage because she was not ever seen leaving the hotel. So the detective left the room for a bit, and Jesse apparently knocked on the door, and they were like, yes. And he said, am I being arrested for something I didn't do? And they said, you haven't been arrested, mate. So
like, are you in handcuffs?
Nice try. Yeah, you're still wearing your 3-piece suit. Okay, calm down. So he came back in with some printed images of the CCTV footage and said, wait, so is this you in the pictures? But he still didn't get that, like, it was contradicting. So he was like, oh, yeah, that's me. Like, without thinking. And so they were like, okay, cool. So we just blew your whole fucking story.
Yeah.
And apparently the disturbing thing to detectives was that Jesse seemed totally comfortable and chill, like not a drop of sweat the entire time. They said everything he told them sounded comfortable and plausible. And, you know, they said maybe his suit was throwing them off, but also I feel like that would make me less likely to believe him, but maybe maybe I'm wrong. Maybe like the outfit just makes him seem more mature or professional than he really is.
Yeah, I guess so. Although I would wonder if the guy that's always bolting, for him to just say, "Am I being arrested?" Usually it sounds like if he has any suspicions, he's just gone.
He's just gone. So I wonder if he asked to be like, "Can I leave?" And maybe they were like, "No, you're being held for 40
Right.
hours or whatever.
Right.
You're not arrested, but you have to stay here." Maybe he was trying to get out of it. Yeah, I don't know. But apparently the suit idea like made them think he was much more believable, so much so that they said if they didn't have the CCTV, they might have just believed him, which is like
Wild.
so shocking, and it makes me so thankful for things like CCTV, even if they're like,
Yeah.
in controversy. But it might have worked. He might have tricked them if there wasn't direct proof that he was lying. So the detective starts laying out all the conflicts in Jesse's timeline. It shows him leaving his hotel room dressed for the day at 8 a.m. on Sunday, not 10 a.m. Like he said he woke up at 10 a.m. and checked his phone. He's leaving the building at 8 a.m. And the detective says, "You haven't told the truth." And after a long silence, Jesse just said, "Is there something you want to ask me?"
Huh.
Ugh. That's my exact reaction. I was like, ugh. So the problem was, although he was lying, there was no evidence that he had hurt Grace, even though she got off on his floor. It's all circumstantial, right? Like, we don't have proof he did anything.
Sure.
So all they could do was hold him for no more than 48 hours. So they released him, but they filed for a warrant to search his apartment. And the forensics team used something called luminol. All right, all my forensic files girlies out there. It's our moment to shine. So luminol reacts with blood and makes it glow, like in those shows you've probably seen this happen. The luminol unfortunately showed massive amounts of blood in his hotel room. The missing persons investigation officially became a murder investigation only a week after Grace's disappearance, December 8th. They took a look at his phone and found out that he had been searching for porn at around 1 a.m. in his hotel room. But on Monday, the day after, his phone data showed he was out in a wilderness area about 12 miles outside of Auckland. Sketch. So sketchy.
I don't even want to know, but I do wonder, like, was the porn before or after he killed?
Oh, I'll tell you.
Fuck.
And it's not good.
Oh, God.
I know. So detectives asked Jesse to tell his story yet again, and now he's changing it because he knows he's been caught in a lie, right? So he's like, "Oh, I can explain everything." He says don't worry,
take it away.
Take it away, buddy. He says he took Grace back to his hotel where she told him about a little book called 50 Shades of Grey. I know. According to Jesse, he was unfamiliar with BDSM, but Grace told him she had fantasies related to the book. And Jesse said Grace asked him to hold her throat. He says the last thing he remembers was falling asleep in the shower, but when he woke up, he said he thought Grace had left, but he left the bathroom and found her lying on the bed with blood coming out of her nose.
Well, that's convenient. You just forgot everything.
You just happened to forget after you fell asleep in the shower. And then he said he screamed and tried to wake her up, but she was dead. So now his story is that this was a drunken sex act gone wrong. But the detectives were like, "Okay, nice try, buddy. Like, you already boldly lied to us. So, like, fuck you." And he said he dialed 111, which is the New Zealand emergency line, but hung up because he was too scared. And he apparently left his apartment and bought a huge suitcase, brought it home, and put Grace inside. And that is what he took her out of the hotel in, which is like so horrific. And then he said, because I guess he thought this might sway somebody, that he sat in his car for a while to pray.
Oh, okay.
Then he grabbed a shovel and took Grace to the woods where he buried her. Then he bought a bunch of bleach and other cleaning products to clean up the scene. And now all of these purchases, including the suitcase, were captured on CCTV. So this part of his story was true. Then footage shows him walking around town with Grace's belongings in a black trash bag. And he goes to a park and just shoves them into a trash can, a public trash can. And this is all on fucking CCTV. So Jesse continues to insist that he's panicking this whole time about this accidental death that occurred. But like while they're watching him, he's just like so fucking calm, just like moseying along. Like he doesn't seem even upset or nervous during any of this footage.
That's
telling. Like it's not proof, but it's telling. Like that.
Like for someone who's that manipulative, you think you would know to like maybe fake a tear.
That's true, but I think he didn't even realize he was being filmed that whole time. Like since he thought they couldn't track him, which I'm like, if you live in that town and you're kind of a criminal, you probably should know, but I guess he knows now. So the detective asked, to your knowledge, did Grace die while she was in your company? And Jesse said, to my knowledge, I would say yes. But he still insisted he didn't kill her and that he didn't kill her with intent at the very least. So he took police to the spot where he buried Grace, and they recovered and formally identified her remains, tragically. When they did an autopsy, it showed that Jesse strangled Grace for 7 to 10 minutes. And detectives felt there was no plausible room for a rough sex defense, so they charged him with murder. The trial began November 4th, 2019, like 11 months after Grace first disappeared. And Jesse's defense team said it was completely plausible that Grace was encouraging, this is so sickening, Jesse to strangle her during sex, and that this was just an unfortunate accident. Imagine being her family in the courtroom and having to hear that. Like,
yeah,
it just really makes my skin crawl.
It's just an added slap in the face.
It is, yes. And I think later they even said, her family, like, it felt like Grace was on trial but couldn't defend herself. Like, it felt like, it's so infuriating. So the quote from his defense team was, Miss Mullane died as a result of what they consensually engaged in during their time together. But the prosecution argued that Jesse would have strangled Grace for minutes until she fell unconscious and then continued to strangle her after she was unconscious. So the lead prosecutor said doing that is much more likely to be about what's going through the bloke's mind and his attitude toward that woman than it is to be an accident of rough sex. Like, you're not choking someone until they're unconscious and then continuing to choke them and it's an accident. Like, that goes against everything he's saying. Like, he just thought she had left and then she had a nosebleed all of a sudden. It doesn't make any sense. In the end, Jesse's defense as an honest man panicking about a sex accident fell through because of all this CCTV footage, and he was described as cool, calm, and in control while he, moved through the city buying a suitcase, buying bleach, just like chilling,
Like,
worse,
zero panic is the weirdest thing to me.
Zero, like, concern, not even.
It makes it seem like this isn't your first time, too.
Right, doesn't it? It's like there's not even a paranoia about it. Like, this is why I'm convinced he's a sociopath, because he just doesn't seem phased. Like, he's lying to everyone.
If I, for some reason, killed somebody and was trying to cover it up, everyone in town would remember me as, like, the really twitchy person who was so fucking scared and weird. Yeah.
And didn't know where to buy bleach and walked into Michael's and was like, do you sell bleach? And they were like, what? No.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, this is, there's something apparently that was really unsettling about the footage. And worse, which you had asked before, Grace had been dead for a while in the room while he was searching for porn online.
So it's true.
It's true.
So he
murdered her,
then wanted to get off to it.
Yeah.
Wow. And also, like, I don't even know what this means. I don't know what this means. But it's weird that, like, you would already do something like that and you would still need porn to get off.
I feel like, and I wonder, I don't know.
That's not enough adrenaline for you to, like.
I know,
like,
but I wonder.
Still need more.
I wonder.
I don't know enough psychologically on what that means, but it seems like if you have this weird thing where, like, you're attracted to.
I don't even know if that's what it is. Like, I don't know if he attacked her because he was trying to rape her or something, and he strangled her, and the getting off wasn't about the actual violence. I mean, maybe it was. I don't know. maybe he just was like, now I
guess.
want
Yeah,
to
I don't
watch
know what it
porn. I have
I
no
don't know
idea.
what it means, but it freaks me out.
Yeah, and we
It
don't know the
freaks me out.
details of like what he was searching for, so it doesn't tell us much there. But it's very bad. Like it's very bad. It's a very bad
Mhm.
look. So, all this looked bad for him, obviously. And after a 3-week trial, the jury only deliberated for an hour and found Jesse guilty. He was sentenced to
Mm.
life in prison, but would be eligible for parole in 17 years. So, throughout the investigation and trial, Jesse's identity was kept somewhat concealed in New Zealand media, unlike our United States
Right.
approach, like our frenzied People magazine approach to anybody on trial. Well, not anybody, just famous people. Um, so they tried to conceal his identity to try and give him a fair shot at more trials because following his murder conviction, he was still being charged for multiple crimes, including raping another woman he met on Tinder years earlier,
Oh my God.
along with abuse against a former partner who actually had a protective order against him. And she actually ended up speaking out and saying she intended to be Grace's voice against Jesse.
Oh,
I know,
wow.
I know, I know. Goose
Wow.
Kim. In the end, those trials found him guilty of sexual violation, threatening to kill, assault, and assault with a weapon. And he did appeal his murder conviction and lost. Last fall, he began appealing those other convictions and lost the appeal again this March. And the convictions are still remaining against him. Jesse's
Wow.
former roommate, Millie, the one who knew the restaurant owner and caught him in those lies, said she felt both angry and guilty. Like she could have done more to raise some alarm or some alert about Jesse. But that's just survivor's guilt. Like there's
Yeah.
nothing she could have done because he didn't do anything.
Yeah.
He lied to them, but
No one is blaming
no,
them.
exactly. So Grace's friends and family said that this guilty verdict was welcome, but it obviously couldn't undo all the suffering they'd endured. And the New Zealand Prime Minister actually apologized to Grace's family on behalf of the country, and they held candlelight vigils throughout the city of Auckland. And they ended up, which is at least somewhat of a silver lining, passing new laws in England and Wales to ban rough sex as a defense in murder trials.
Oh wow.
Not to defend, not to ban rough sex. That'd be quite something to try and uphold.
Yeah.
No, but just to be able to basically prevent men from saying,
Like, oh, I
"Oh,
accidentally
she wanted
choked
to be
her.
part of this." Yeah, exactly. Grace's family started something called the Love Grace campaign, where they give out handbags with important supplies to victims of domestic violence, which I think is really cool. And they explained one of the things that comes out of this is that women should be allowed to do what they want without a sexual predator doing what he wants and taking her life, which is yeah, understatement of the century. That absolutely. Millie said, I think we as women are trained to walk with our keys in our hands and make sure we walk in brightly lit streets. Us not knowing what to do isn't the issue. We shouldn't have to do those things.
Mm-hmm.
Amen. And in their statement for the BBC documentary, Grace's family said they were relieved the government chose to ban the rough sex defense so men wouldn't kill women knowing they could just use that excuse for
truly.
a lighter sentence. And they said during the trial, it felt like Grace herself was on trial and unable to defend herself, which must be just so helpless for the family.
Yeah.
Now, no other families would at least have to go through that specific circumstance in the area. And they said Grace will always be their sunshine.
Oh wow, that's
I know,
heartbreaking.
I know. So that's the story. Grace Mullane. It's horrible.
It's wild how many lies he didn't get caught in until, or he probably hasn't gotten caught in the past.
It makes you wonder, the housemates did, what else is there? What else has he been just making up this whole time?
And I feel so bad for the housemates too, being like, I fucking knew something was crazy.
Yes. I mean, and it's so hard because what do you do in that scenario? You say, oh, he lied to us about, well, so what? The police can't do anything about that.
Yeah.
But you feel unsafe and there's nothing you can do except to just get a new place to live and then find out later that he murdered someone. Ugh.
Yeah. If only there was, it would be wildly abused. So if it wouldn't be wildly abused, I wish there was a suspicious registry you could put people on.
I know, right? Like a red flag registry. That's what I'm calling it.
I got tingles going on about this person. We should watch out for him.
Yeah, and maybe you should have some validation behind your name. So like, oh,
yeah,
I fucking called that guy. So now you get like a verified check mark
yeah.
for the RFR, the red flag registry. You're like, I know this. I knew he was up to something.
I saw something and I said something. Yeah.
Anyway.
Oy. Well, Christine, that was
a doozy.
An interesting story. I hate calling them good stories.
I know.
But it was well researched, well done, well spoken, Christine.
Why, thank you, my friend.
Except halfway through, you like ate a dirty cucumber or something. So
all in a day's work.
Yeah, that was crazy. Well, I guess I'm gonna go get my veins ripped out now.
Oh my god. Okay. Well, you know what? We've had a lot of fun here, folks, but Em is gonna go make me want to crawl out of my own skin.
Everyone go, I don't know. Everyone go take a walk so that maybe your veins aren't as bad as mine one day.
Keep those veins healthy, folks. That's what we always say around here.
And
that's
why
we
drink.